This is Nia Perry, founder and CEO of Gradient Global Collective, and you're listening to the Gradient Global Collective podcast. Dear entrepreneur or aspiring entrepreneur, thank you for listening. Did you begin today feeling defeated or upset that things are not going the way you'd hoped for? If the answer is no, that's awesome. Congratulations. But if the answer is yes and feel like the weight of the world rests on your shoulders, I have news for you. It's not. What you're experiencing is a temporary feeling, and feelings are not facts. Everyone goes through challenges when they're striving for more. So lift your head up and get back to work. And with that, I'm excited to welcome our next guest. Pasha Cook is founder and CEO of Pasha Cook and Associates. As a career development and branding consultant, she coaches her clients on how to identify and develop their transferable skills, as well as how to maximize their potential to create lifelong success. As a former collegiate and semi-pro basketball player who sustained a career-ending injury, Pasha understands the sometimes turbulent waters of transition throughout the various phases of careers, especially the challenges athletes face when trying to figure out what's next after their playing days are over. This experience uniquely equips her to create custom training programs for her clients to help them develop their skill sets in order to reach goals and to champion life. In 2002, Pasha received a Bachelor of Science degree in Kinesiology from the University of Memphis. She worked with the WNBA, NCAA, and a host of youth programs and organizations. She's been featured on MSNBC and in the Houston Business Journal, Black Enterprise Magazine, and YSF Magazine. The Women's CEO Project in Houston awarded Pasha Cook and Associates with the 2015 Biggest Transformation Award for its dedicated service and extraordinary growth. With that, I'm happy to welcome Pasha. Welcome to the Gradient Global Collective podcast.
I am amazed to be here. I'm honored to be here. Thank you for inviting me, first of all, because you didn't have to do it. You found me on LinkedIn, yes. And I guess I'm just humbled that my profile was good enough for you to reach out. So thank you.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for being here. You exemplify exactly what we want on this show. So thank you. So Pasha, as I mentioned in the intro, right, you offer professionals, not just former athletes, strategies on how to navigate through career transitions. And we know how challenging, it can be without, it doesn't matter what career that you're transitioning from. Tell us about your own career transition that really led you to this point in your life.
Well, it depends on how far back you want me to go. So let me make this a brief story.
Okay.
I was birthed to a mother that couldn't take care of me. So at 3 years old, she sent me to live with my grandmother, which I'm sure a lot of people have experienced living with their grandparents, sure, or either know someone who has, right?
Yeah.
However, my grandmother had a sixth grade education, so it wasn't really anybody in the house that can help me on a consistent basis with homework. I was one of those kids that had to figure it out, and it was a lot of uncertainty, a lot of moving around. I eventually went back to live with my estranged mother at 12, okay. And it was just like from house to house, bed to bed, like we were all over the place because she was trying to figure it out. She didn't know how to be a mother, and then she didn't know how to be stable. So unfortunately, by the time I was in 11th grade, I lost my eligibility to play basketball. And with that, I lost my hope to ever go to college. I never looked on the inside of myself. I never thought about how intelligent I was because I showed up to school for the most part to play basketball. It was the one consistent thing that I had when everything else was chaotic, right? Mm-hmm. So unfortunately, I dropped out. When I lost my eligibility, I was like, well, I lost my hope. And it took me 6 years of living a life that wasn't living up to who I really was on the inside, because I didn't know that at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I had people around me that kept pushing me. They knew that it was something greater on the inside of me. They believed in me. And eventually I started kind of embracing that belief in who I was. And once I started to embrace that belief and start to practice on believing in myself, then my career took off. So I re-entered education a month before my 24th birthday. So I got my first basketball scholarship a month before my 24th birthday because I went ahead and GED'd after 6 years.
Okay.
I got tired of looking at everybody else prosper while I was sitting here like, I had to figure out, well, who am I and where am I? And I was a 23-year-old high school dropout with mediocre jobs, playing basketball every day, hanging out with my friends, being entertained. And I had to change those values. I had to change that perspective of who I was. And so I entered back into college. I entered back into education, basketball scholarship, 2-year institution, went on to finish there and went on to University of Memphis, where, as you already mentioned, I got my degree in kinesiology. I became the first generation college graduate at that moment.
Yes.
The first one to go to college in my family.
Wow. What a
Yeah.
great sort of comeback kid story. I love that. But so
Yeah.
at age 23,
Yeah.
you must have, I mean, that in itself is a tremendous feat because at that point you're an adult, right? You make your own decisions. Like nobody's driving you and pushing you. So that was your own sort of self-motivation. Would you say that?
Well, it's a combination because this is the thing. People can motivate you, but you can only empower you.
Mm.
So what they teach you, and they can motivate you, they can inspire you, but empowerment has to come from within. So as someone who I coin myself, a empowerment practitioner, it's because I study it. I had to study it in order to become empowered.
Yeah.
And therefore, but you have to do the work. See, that's the difference.
Right.
People can inspire you and motivate you, but when it comes down to the work, that is on you. So I had to do the work, but I had other people that were pushing and motivating me, and then eventually I became empowered and empowered myself to do things that other people in my family and other people in the environment that I grew up in weren't doing.
Right.
So I had to believe. So yeah, it was actually, by the time I stepped on the court, I was 24.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a big deal, especially when, and so what were your peers? How old were they?
Mm, Most of them were around, 18, 19 years
Right,
old.
right. Wow,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
just coming out of high school. I was entering college when most people are graduating college. So,
Right.
yeah, it was a little different.
Man. So you took all of that and sort of eventually dove into entrepreneurship. And at this point, you've been an entrepreneur for 10 years.
Yes.
And we all know that entrepreneurship is definitely not for the faint of heart, nor is competitive sports, which you participated in. So do you believe that your athletic training, and now that we know sort of your personal background, sort of helped prepare you for entrepreneurship? And if so, in what ways would you say that?
I absolutely agree that, yes, I do believe that sports helped me with entrepreneurship. The reason being because sport, especially a team sport,
Yeah.
you have to be disciplined.
Okay.
And at the collegiate level, you're an elite athlete. Anybody that can make it to the collegiate level, to me, is an elite athlete. I know most of the time when we say that, we think of pro athletes, but think about this. In 2014 to 2015, there were 500,000 men's basketball players in high school,
Wow.
boys basketball players, and only 17,000 transitioned into college.
Wow.
So
Okay.
that's elite. Think about all those kids that are playing middle school
Sure.
basketball or, AAU. So in order to make it to that level, you have to stand out. Half a million kids, right? And the numbers are very similar in women's basketball as well. So to make it to that level, you have to be coachable, which many times I wasn't because, I was a little older, so I had a little attitude. But
Okay.
you have to be coachable. I had to adjust. Determined. You have to be self-motivated because there are going to be times that when your team is not practicing, you should be practicing if you want to get off the bench, if you want to contribute,
Mm-hmm.
if you want to be successful. So a lot of those I call them the inner athlete skills.
Okay.
they're interpersonal skills, but they're what you learn while participating in sport.
Yeah.
Those inner athlete skills
Uh-huh.
can transition over to business, can transition over to your personal and your professional development.
Sure.
But you got to know how to, first of all, you got to know what they are for you because it's a lot of skills that you build up in athletics. However, what are your strengths? There are certain skills that you're strong in. What are your strengths? So first you have to identify those things and then you make them applicable to other areas of your life. So that's what I was able to do, but it was kind of like a unconscious move at first.
Mm-hmm.
I just applied what I would apply to the game, what I applied when I was 7 years old, 11 years old, playing basketball by myself. I would dribble on, in front of my grandmother's house. And when I was old enough, I would go to the court and nobody else was out there. Nobody. So I would just go out there and practice on my own until the lights came on, even though I was supposed to be at home at that time. But I got in trouble a lot because I just couldn't stay off the court. I was very determined. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, wonderful. So you become an author, I mean, an entrepreneur. You then go on to authoring a book. So tell us about your experience with being an author, right? Like, why did you take time to write the Champs U Workbook Guide? What was your intention behind it? And like, what was that process like for you? Was that challenging? Did you, set what they call like tomato timers? Like, how were you disciplined in writing this book? Tell us about your whole experience.
I don't know if you're gonna believe this, but it was. Oh, I don't believe in coincidence but I was. So my first speaking gig. Let's go back a little bit. My
Okay.
first speaking gig or presentation was with the WNBA in 2014.
Wow.
This was something I didn't plan on. I didn't plan for it. I had no idea that I was going to become a speaker.
Wow.
I was in fashion. I was a 30 plus year old. I won't say how old. I was a 30 plus year old intern in New York. I had given up everything in Houston, moved to New York, and became an intern in the fashion industry,
Okay.
doing styling with the professional athletes.
Oh, okay.
And so once my contract was over
Oh, that's
with,
why you're so fly. Okay, I see you.
ah,
I'm seeing your suit. I like it.
thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, so I came in fashion and I was
Okay.
interning. And when my agreement was over,
Mhm.
I didn't get the job. She wanted me to stay on 6 more months as an intern. I'm thinking, lady, I ain't making no money right now. And I got bills in Houston and New York. We got savings, but we don't want to run through it.
Right.
So I was like, I can't do this. I have to go back into luxury retail because that's what I came out of
Okay.
at the time. And 2 months later, she called me and said she had a gig for me. I'm like, okay, some money, let's go. And she told me I had to facilitate a presentation. I'm like, is she tripping? Like, does she know that this is not what I do? But she trusted in me. She believed in me and she worked with high profile athletes. So I was like, well, if she believes in me, I got to believe in me. Okay. So I never say no to somebody of that stature if it's something that is going to benefit me, even if it's uncomfortable, because I know that I have to push myself outside my comfort zone. So I said, yeah. And it was a facilitation for the WNBA.
Wow.
And what she did not know is this. One of the only reasons that I returned to education was because the WNBA was launched and I wanted an opportunity to make it. That's why I went back to school.
Wow.
So she had no idea at the time
Right.
that my dream had come full circle. I was playing on a different stage, though. I was no longer on the court. That career was over, but I was on a stage where now I'm in front of these same women that I wanted to be in their shoes or in that seat.
Right.
And I am the person that they're getting advice from. So that just shows you how the universe works if you keep working at it, even when you don't know. So that was my first opportunity. And I didn't take it as serious. I did a couple more speaking engagements. And by 2015, I was a little bit more serious. I contacted my alma mater, University of Memphis, went to go speak there. And after I spoke and presented, I was like, I need something tangible.
Right.
At the time, I was working on my memoir. So I started working on Champs U simultaneously while I was simultaneously working on another book. And it was,
okay.
oh my goodness. I don't recommend that for anybody.
Yeah.
But what happened was I was so engulfed in it and so inspired by how the athletes that I was presenting to, their reaction and how they said they needed more of this. So I wanted to create something, a
They
book
needed
that
more of your personal story or this workbook sort of work through guide that you were developing.
I think it was both because
Okay.
being transparent, letting them know, hey, I was a 24-year-old coming into college playing basketball. You're ahead of me.
Yeah.
I was a dropout. You're ahead of me. So the things that I'm able to accomplish, I'm just showing you that you can do that too by channeling your skills.
Mm-hmm.
And they had no idea about some of the terminologies that I introduced them to, like athletic identity.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you weigh more on the identity of being an athlete than anything else in your life. And what happens with that is when you transition out, you know, you've been playing this game since you were 7 years old.
Mm-hmm.
When you transition out of that, sometimes it's in your 20s, sometimes in your 30s, depends. Then most people go through depression and all these other emotions because they don't know how to handle that. You just told them that they're retiring from the sport that they played all their lives. Now what do? Because they don't know how to channel that inner athlete into other areas of their lives because they never had to.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody taught them. And so when I start introducing these terminologies and showing them what they actually have on the inside of them and how they can transition that into other areas of their lives, then a light bulb goes off. Well, I don't have to, you know, make it as a pro athlete. I can do other things if that doesn't happen.
Right.
And I wanted more of that, just more information that they weren't getting. And so I came up with this book, and I wanted to make it simple enough that if they didn't have a life skills department at their school and nobody was teaching them these things that I'm teaching them, then they could take this book and do it themselves.
Okay.
I can give this book to a teacher and they can automatically come up with a curriculum because it's already structured that way.
Okay.
And I did that on purpose because I wanted to make it affordable for the athlete, for the student athlete,
right,
to have, whether they had that program or not, whether I came in and spoke to them or not.
Interesting. So you were writing this other book at the same time.
Yeah.
Did you continue on with your memoir, or where does that stand right now?
It's finished. It's completed, but I've decided it was so many things that happened after the fact in my life, just like small wins, big wins, that I said, you know what, I need to hold off on this so that I can add to that story. So what I'm thinking about doing now is taking 1 or 2 chapters out of that book and creating another book. It won't be a memoir, just some life lessons.
Yeah.
Because my story isn't finished.
Awesome. Did you self-publish?
I did.
Okay, interesting. That's neat. Congrats on that. That's awesome. I love that story. So you are a national and international speaker, and we just mentioned some of these esteemed organizations that you've spoken to, like the WNBA, and then the University of Botswana, which I thought was really cool. So share with your audience, our audience, maybe a few tangible, actionable tips on how to obtain speaking engagements. I know yours were sort of, I would say, it wasn't by happenstance at all. It was ordained, in my opinion, right? But how did you continue on getting those engagements? Like, how can somebody say, you know what, I know I have a message and I want to speak to an audience that needs that message. How can they go about starting that process of speaking?
So is this podcast rated PG, or is it?
It is rated whatever Pasha Cook wants it to be rated right now. You go for it. Do it. We grown folks.
You got to work your ass off.
Yes,
like
yes.
You have to work. It's not, even though I had that opportunity come across my table, what most people would consider like without the effort. But it was effort because I worked for her for 4 months, and you can't imagine some of the things that I had to do as an intern.
Okay.
So she knew that if I said I was going to do something, I would do it, and I would put 100% into it.
Yeah.
So it wasn't necessarily that my focus was on a speaking engagement. It was on what happened was the relationship that I built by working hard actually had something that came out of that was beneficial to me, right? But I put in the work. No work, no win.
Yeah.
If you don't work, you're not going to win. I'm telling you. So you just got to put in the work. So some of the things that I implement into outreach is, we have MailChimp. I teach people how to start up their MailChimp campaign. Relationships. So you have to really be intentional about the relationships that you build. So what I teach my clients is we go through like, okay, we got to do some self-assessing, because self-assessing brings self-awareness, and self-awareness takes you anywhere you want to go in the world. So we start with some assessments. Who's in your circle? Right. Who have you outgrown? Right? And then who needs to replace those people that you outgrew? There's some people out there that you need to connect to in order to help you to launch your dreams, There's some people out there that you need to connect to that are going to help you to educate yourself, to level up your thinking, to level up your surroundings, your environment. There are people out there that you need to be connected to, and there are some people that you need to let go.
Right.
Like Les Brown says, you need to let go or be dragged. There are some people in your life, if you have not self-assessed, if you have not assessed your circle, you won't find those people who are riding your wagon and they're not helping you push. Right? There's some people out there that's just riding your wagon, and especially when you start to really do things and they see, because I get it all the time on social media. People think, let me say think, as I got these fingers up in these quotes. They know me because they knew me from in the past. So they come up and, hey, give me a call. Such and such said, call her. Somebody I haven't seen since I was 17. I'm like, and what will we talk about after all these years?
Right.
Like, so you really have to build intentional, let me say that again, build intentional relationships, because those relationships are going to pay off, and they're like any other relationship. You have to work at them. You have to support other people, their causes, whatever it is. Check in on them, know their birthdays, whatever it's going to take for you to continue building those relationships. And what'll happen is when that opportunity comes up, you're the person they're going to think of.
Yes. So so those speaking engagements, so you're speaking more broadly, like the relationship is what's going to get you that speaking engagement, because that's how you got your first one. Are there other things that you sort of kind of on a tactical perspective, like how do you go about, do you look at, maybe what events are coming up, or like how else do you go about some of these speaking engagements?
Absolutely. So
Okay.
I have an intern
Okay.
that works with me, and I also have a virtual assistant.
Okay.
The virtual assistant I put into place because he's in Africa, actually.
Okay.
He does research. So I'll come up with an outline of the type of engagements that I want to look for as far as outreach. Certain templates that we create for email campaign.
Okay.
For outreach campaign, I have templates for all of that.
Okay.
So all they have to do is implement that template when they're reaching out. All they're trying to do is get people on the phone with me.
Right.
I don't want them talking to anybody, convincing, selling. If you are an entrepreneur, especially a solopreneur, you need to bring it home, right? You need to be the person that is selling you. You don't need to have anybody else selling you, because especially as a speaker, who can sell you better than you if you're a speaker?
Right.
Who can tell your story better than you if you're a speaker?
Right.
So that's what we do. So the virtual assistant does outreach, brings me back into a spreadsheet, certain events, the contact person, the date, and all that type of stuff. We'll email them, and then we have a system of how many days that we follow up.
Okay.
So so we have it marked on the calendar. In a certain amount of days, we'll follow up. It may be a phone call, it may be another email, depending on the client.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's very practical. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Okay, so Pasha, let's talk about the challenging times of entrepreneurship. Okay. I was like, tell me, help me right in this moment in my life. Pasha, I need your help. So speak to some of the low points in your business in particular, and how were you able to persevere during those times of struggle? Because you've been pretty transparent about that. I'm seeing on your social, on your Instagram in particular. You've talked about low points. So how have you gotten through those times when you just, feeling low?
Oh, I have different strategies that I use, if you want to call it strategy, or things that I implement.
Yeah.
First of all, I try to make sure that I meditate
Okay.
every day,
Okay.
because I know that most of your better decisions in life and in entrepreneurship are going to come from your instinct, not from your thinking. Let me say that again. It's going to come from your instinct, not your thinking, because you tend to overthink.
Yes.
So you connect it to that source that is within you, which is your instinct, which is trying to guide you every day in the direction in which you want to go. But many times we suppress that voice because we're overthinking. We're trying to plan. And I'm not saying don't have a plan, but you got to be connected. You have to be self-aware. So that's one thing that I implement. I also, again, going back to what I said earlier, I surround myself with successful people. So I have a accountability partner for different facets of my life.
Okay.
I have a life coach, my sister girlfriend that we talk every other week
Mm-hmm.
at 6 o'clock in the morning on Tuesdays.
Okay.
And that's to catch up with, she's came out the corporate world. So that's a whole different conversation. She's
Sure.
teaching me some things. I'm teaching her some things.
Right.
Then I have another accountability partner that I talk to on Monday nights at 9 o'clock. And we go over our quarter goals, things that, that we can help support each other in and stuff like that. Then I have a group
Mm.
that I'm a part of as well that is for speaking only. That
Okay.
is called G Squad. It's for speaking only. And then I have a coach,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing. And I think people, let me be transparent. I slept on coaching.
Yeah.
I slept on I was like, why would I pay this person to tell me what to do? That's a poverty mindset.
Wow.
And a limited mindset.
So let's talk about the coaching portion, because I think you gave some really strong points right there about how to get through. So you said to meditate, surround yourself with some of those people that are gonna accountability partners, people that are gonna pour into you that you can then pour back into, and it's a relationship thing. So those are really solid, very actionable.
I left that one. I left that one. I
Okay.
have to say this. And I also have a spiritual life.
Yeah.
Period. People pray. I pray. I'm not a religious person,
Okay.
but I do watch religious leaders on YouTube. I think that anybody who packs a powerful message that can, motivate me and I can get something from,
Yeah.
then that's who I'm going to be listening to. So whoever it is, as long as they're preaching positivity,
Sure.
preaching, uplifting other people
Yeah.
versus shooting people down, because we do that for ourselves.
Mm.
We don't need anybody else telling us how bad we are. We don't need anybody telling us all these negative things that are going on in the world. We need some people that are going to inspire us to be a better version of ourselves. So I have a very, very, very connected spiritual life.
Yeah.
I just believe God speaks to me all day long when I am listening.
Mm.
When I'm listening, God is speaking, he or she, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
God is speaking all day, but what happens is sometimes we turn the sound off.
Mm-hmm.
All that noise in our head, so we've turned it off, but then we're wondering, well, where is God? Well, God is right there when you turn your volume back up.
Wow.
When
Yeah.
you turn, and your volume that you got to turn up is that one on the inside. It's that thing that's on the inside of you that connects to God, because God lives in you. So you got to connect to God.
Come on,
Yeah.
Pasha, preacher.
Uh-oh.
Preacher Pasha.
Uh-oh.
That's good. That's good. That's awesome. No, these are solid, strong tips, and my audience appreciates it, as do I. So thank you so much for that. So let's get back to the coaching, right? So you are a coach. You
Yes.
have been coached. It sounds like both professionally, obviously with your sports, career, and in your business career. So coaching has played a part of your life. So talk about how important coaching has been in your life, and then also why should people consider investing in a coach to navigate business or life, for that matter?
Coaching, I would say coaching saved my life.
Oof.
Now, this is the thing. I had to become coachable.
Mm.
It took me many, even throughout college, I wasn't that coachable. I had to become coachable. I had to learn to listen to other people's advice and understand that some of that advice I may not need to take.
Right.
But this is the thing about coaching. It's like any other profession. It's like having a doctor or a dentist or a therapist, which I have one of those too, that you have to connect with that person. Every coach isn't going to work for you. Every doctor isn't going to work for you. How many times have people gone to the doctor and they have to get a second and third opinion? And when they got that third opinion, it was the right one.
Right. That's a good point. That's good.
Right? It's people have to understand that it may not happen the first time. It may not work the first time. It may not work the second time. It may not work the third, fourth, the fifth time. But how important is it for you to live a better life? How important is it for you to change your life, to change the game, to leave your legacy, to heal? Whatever it is you're getting a coach for, a therapist, or a professional for, how important is it to you? That's what you got to gauge. And then you keep trying, just like anything else. As a baby, you kept trying to walk. You couldn't walk at first,
Right.
but you kept trying. Now you can run.
Right.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. So coaching, and let's go back to the question. It was very vital. And now that I have the right coach, because I've had some mentors who were the top speakers in the world, but their coaching style didn't connect with me.
Okay.
And I had to walk away from that. And it was hard, especially when you got one of the top 5 motivational speakers teaching you. But I didn't hear my voice in it. And they even agreed that, hey, you just got to find the right coach. And when I found the right coach, I still was kind of, not as coachable as I am right now. But as soon as I became coachable and started to listen and implement, let me say it again, and implement what they're teaching you, because we can read all these books, all these lovely quotes out there on social media. That's great. That's cute. At the end of the day, it's about the activity and having the patience to let it work. You can't do something for 2, 3, 4, even 6 months sometimes, and you looking to win.
Yeah.
Like what?
Exactly. Right.
Yeah, it doesn't happen like that. It does
Right.
not happen like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you gotta get a coach, because my coach is teaching me things I don't know, as far as the strategies to get speaking engagement, as far as how to market my book, just different things. You have to get the coach that is doing or has done what you need.
Right.
So you gotta know what you need before you go out there and get a coach too.
That's good.
What's the value is that coach? What is the value that coach brings to you, your personal or your professional life? What are the outcomes you're hoping to get? Well, then once you know those things, then you can go out there and seek your coach.
That's good, Miss Pasha. That's awesome. Good job. I like it. I like it.
I'm having fun.
So
That's
let's.
fun.
What was that?
I said I'm having too much fun.
I know it, right? I know in the time. Okay, so expound on this quote from your Instagram. You said, real winners know that risk is worth the reward. Real winners know that risk is worth the reward. How can aspiring entrepreneurs or those, with less than 2 years of entrepreneurial experience strengthen their risk taking muscle?
You just got to keep going out there taking risks. So as an athlete, we know, especially elite athletes, we know that going out there giving 100%, you're at risk of injury every time you step on the court.
Okay.
Every time. But what athlete say, well, I ain't gonna go in the game because I might get injured?
Right.
Like someone that is determined to win, someone that is a game changer, like I consider myself a game changer, you're gonna go out there and give 100%. I had 5 surgeries throughout my career, 5 major surgeries throughout my career, and I kept playing until I couldn't play anymore. And that's how you got to look at life. Like, there are going to be risks, but you're going to fail. You got to learn how to fail forward, because the reward isn't always the end goal. The reward is the process. The award is who you become during that process.
Yeah.
You become a smarter person. You become a better person. You become a person that has a positive impact on your life, on your community, and could possibly be global if you think big enough.
Right.
Right? So it's the process of who you become that is worth that risk, because you're going to have those days anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You can sit in the house for a week and don't go out the house, and you're going to have some days that you wake up in a bad mood, even though you haven't even interacted with anybody, nothing's happened, nothing's going on, but you're going to have those bad days anyway. And if you're not living your dream, you're going to have more of those bad days.
Yes.
Because that thing inside of you, that instinct, that God that's inside of you, is going to keep nudging and nudging and nudging at you, because you are not living up to your full potential or your high potential.
Yes. I'm a witness to that. I've personally, it took me some time, right? It took me some time to get over the fear of judgment, the fear of what they're gonna say, the theys of the world, like DJ Khaled say, they always have something to say. And so it does take time to step out on and take big risks, especially when you know that it may not be a most popular subject matter, like for me, talking about Black women, right? And our power and our influence in the world. And so everybody doesn't like that message. Everybody doesn't want to support that message. And so for me, everything that you said was exactly right. I had to learn that if I was gonna flop at it, I was gonna go all the way in. I'm gonna try my best every single day. So I am a witness to exactly what you said.
Absolutely. And you just got to stay focused on where you want to go and be flexible about how you get there.
Yes, yes.
Keep the focus, but you become flexible on how you get there, because things are going to change.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, they change on a dime every day. It's always new. And that's the thing. It's the fluidity, right? You just have to know that things are going to change. And that's the journey of entrepreneurship anyway. Like things are, you have to be, what someone said one time, be stingy with the goal but flex no, be stingy with the outcome but flexible with how you get there, like the path, the journey. Like you don't know how it's going to look, you don't know what it's ultimately going to turn out to be, but you just know that at the end of the day, what do you want to accomplish, period. So yeah, that speaks exactly what you said. So let's talk about your new brand, right? Movement Apparel. So how recently did you launch that? Is that just more recent here?
Yeah, it is more recent, but it's been something I feel like I've been conjuring up for at least 10 years.
Wow. Okay, so Movement Apparel. So tell us what Movement Apparel, the brand name, means to you, and then why did you decide to add merchandise to your product offering?
Well, first of all, I come from the world of fashion, so I
Right.
just couldn't get away from it. And let me say this before I get into that.
Mm-hmm.
I implore people to not seek what is out there, what is already out there. Seek what you want and create it. If
Mm.
it's not, that's the thing. Because when I was launching this particular business, because in 2010, 2009, 2010, I was actually in the pet industry, believe it or not.
Okay.
Like I was in the pet industry doing something way on the left of this. And when I started this company, I wanted to bring my whole self to it.
Pasha Cook Associates or the Movement Apparel?
No, Pasha Cook
Okay.
Associates.
Okay.
So movement is under that. It's under
Okay.
that.
Okay.
It's under my LLC.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to bring all of me to this business. I was trying to figure out, how do I do that into the speaking, and because it started
Mm-hmm.
off as speaking, but I was like, I'm bigger than a speaker, and
Yeah.
not a vain type of way, but I saw myself doing more than just speaking. Then I was like, I've been wanting to write a book for years and didn't think that I was an author.
Mm.
Didn't think that I could do it for a long time, or were scared of it like most people. Most people are scared what's on the other side of their fear.
Mm.
They don't know what it looks like. They don't know what it feels like, so they stay in their comfort zone. So all these things were in my mind a long time ago, but I had to get up the guts to launch them. So when I started Pasha Cook Associates, I wanted to, again, take all of me in, the athlete, the entrepreneur, the educator, because I had been in education as well, and I wanted to put it all in there. So movement was the thing that came after I, got out there and started speaking, after my book came. So now it's time for the apparel. And movement is really, to me, about those people who, despite their fears, are willing to go out there and create the movement that is going to positively impact themselves, their communities, and the world.
Mm.
Like we just go out there, we just move, you just move different. You move up at another level. You're trying to get to that other level and create movement, because in that movement, especially if it's intentional, you're going to positively impact a lot of people, including yourself. So
Yeah.
every time I impact someone else in a positive way, it's selfish. Like it's serving me as well, because I'm forced to get better
Mm.
and better and better and better and educate myself. Like I'm forced to do those things because there are people who are watching me, not those days that we talked about. I don't care about they,
Right.
because people say to me, "Oh, you doing this now? You doing that now?" What I tell you, what I'm not doing, I'm not sitting still, waiting for somebody to give me an opportunity. That's what I'm not doing,
Hello.
right? Um, and so movement is what I call sporty biz. It's taking the athlete in me, the sports side, and the business side, and we're combining them. And that's what my whole brand is about: taking that inner athlete, the entrepreneur, and the educator, and putting it all in one and going out there and impacting the world.
Yeah.
That's who Pasha Cook is.
Cool. Very good. So, okay, we'll get back to that in a minute. But let's discuss owning your uniqueness, right? You mentioned earlier you didn't want to be like anyone else. You appear to be really comfortable in your own skin. So is that true? And then were you always this way? Because some people struggle with self-esteem, right? How can others sort of work through those challenges if they're in that space right now?
Hmm, that's a good question. First of all, no, I wasn't always that way.
Okay.
I was confident in the game of basketball,
Okay.
um, but I wasn't always confident in other areas of my life. And I just had to start. And I had to start with listening to other people who I know had uh, good intentions for my life
Okay.
and listening to what they had to say and getting that feedback. So once I got that feedback, I'm like, okay. And then I just started slowly but surely affirming myself. And it started with just writing it down, writing it down in a notebook every day. Just I am, and whatever goes behind that for you. Then I started putting up sticky notes around my apartment,
Okay.
and I would take them down when people came over. But eventually, I stopped taking them down because this is my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I was writing them on the mirror. Then the hardest affirmation that I ever had to participate in was when I had to stand in the mirror and look at myself and look into my own eyes and say it and declare it, declare these things over my life. And it's work every day. I still do it.
Yeah.
It doesn't end. This is what I want the audience to know. It just because you learn it and you apply it doesn't mean one day you don't have to apply it anymore. It's every day. It's every day. That's why if you want to become an entrepreneur, understand there are no days off. You may go on vacation. Yes, you may do that. But understand when you get back, you're going to be grinding just like you did when you left, even more, because sometimes you got to catch up. This world is evolving quicker than it ever has in the history of the world. Like it has never, changed as rapidly as it is right now. Sorry about that. So this is something that you got to be focused. That's why you got to be focused on your game. What is that thing, that purpose, that thing that you want to do? Become a student of it. Watch other people. Go to webinars, listen to webinars, go to workshops, go to conferences, pick up books. But that's the thing about it is you have to implement everything that you're learning that applies to you. Not everything that you're learning, but everything that you're learning that applies to you and your business and your life. You got to take the action. You got to create movement.
Okay, awesome. That's great. So you've learned much, Pasha, in these 10 years of entrepreneurship. You've given us a lot of wisdom here, some of the things that you've done, but can you recall like two major mistakes maybe that you did early on in your business that we can all learn from? I'm sure there were many because we all make those mistakes early on, especially when you don't know, right? But can you recall like two big ones that were like, oh man, like I can't believe I did that, or I won't be ever doing that again. Can you?
Yes.
Okay.
One in particular is throwing money at a problem.
Okay. That's a good one.
Let me say it again, because throwing money at a problem is a huge mistake. The
Yeah.
reason is I believe I know some people believe that you can't have too much money as an entrepreneur. Yes, you can. A lot of these, if you look out at a lot of these tech companies that are out there, these new apps that are starting up, stuff like that, and these VCs who want to, invest, right? You have venture capitalists who invest or angel investors. Well, they have these young kids coming up with these ideas. They throw a whole bunch of money at it, and the person ain't ready for the money. They don't know where to put it. If you get all this money and you don't know where to put it, then it's wasted money. And I used to, instead of doing, like I preach now, and this is why I preach it, I wasn't a student of the game. When I started that pet business, it's because I knew that the pet industry was a $50 billion industry. And I just wanted my cut of it. First mistake. The first mistake was I'm going after the money, not the passion. I'm going after the money, not impacting people. That was the first mistake. And so I would go hire all these different people, pay them this. I had a coach that I paid like $2,500 at the time, right? Thinking that she was going to save me or teach me what to do in my business. Nah, that's not what a coach is for. A coach is to help you to channel your focus. But if you don't even know where you're going, how are they going to help you do that?
Wow.
So I was throwing money at problems instead of being a student of the game, instead of loving you don't have to always love what you do. Because there are going to be moments that you don't love. I don't love getting up at 4:30 in the morning and working, but it's a habit that I had to create in order to stay ahead of the game.
Okay.
So I think that's a mistake too, is people saying, love what you do and you'll never work a day in your life. It's good to love what you do, but some days you're not going to love it.
That's true.
Transparent,
Yeah.
right? Any entrepreneur who's transparent is going to say, no, I don't love this day.
That's
You might
exactly
love
right.
what you do, right? You love what you do when you in that that zone. Right now, you're probably in your zone, but on that back end,
Yeah.
getting this thing edited,
Mm-hmm.
putting it up on the website, the marketing, you probably hate some of that process, but it's a
Mm-hmm.
part of the process,
That's right.
right?
That's right.
So that spending money, throwing money at a problem, and the other one is going after the money instead of the purpose,
Mm-hmm.
right?
That's good. All right. Well, y'all heard it here first. Avoid those issues. Okay, Pasha, now it is time for our fire round of questioning. We want to get beyond the business of it all and get to know a few random but fun facts about you. You ready?
All right, I'm ready.
All right.
Uh-oh. Am I ready?
You ready. This is serious. This is lightweight. This is lightweight. You come from how many surgeries? You done did all of this. You're fine here. What is the very first thing you do in the morning?
Oh, but when I open my eyes, I thank God.
Okay.
Yeah, I thank God.
All right. You have to eat, and I know, I assume you're a health nut. I don't know that. But you have to eat one of these things every single day for a year. Which would you choose? Okay. A slice of pizza, a cup of ramen noodles, or a bag of Cheetos.
Ooh, ramen noodles.
Really?
Yeah, I don't eat cheese.
Oh, but the ramen is so bad. They're all bad.
They're all bad. And Cheetos, like, I don't eat cheese, so you gave me two cheese options. I had to
What?
take the one.
Oh, okay,
But
okay. I'm thinking like, ooh,
that's
no
the thing,
ramen
'cause,
noodles.
you know what? I'm considered not black because I don't eat. Like, how you black and you don't eat cheese? How you?
Well, they
I
have
don't eat
cheeseless
cheese.
pizza. They have cheeseless pizza. You could have
Yeah,
went
I
that
don't eat
option.
cheese. I don't eat hot sauce. Like, it's certain things that I
Oh,
don't
that's
eat.
hilarious. Okay. Name your
Yeah.
favorite song ever and sing just a little bit.
Oh no, you didn't. Oh my
Just a
God.
hook or something, just a little bit. What's your favorite song?
I don't a favorite song. I'm gonna have to come back to that. I don't know because I love all kind of music.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't think of
Okay,
one
so
right.
let's think of one right now. Like, what song right now is like your
Came in
jam?
DNA, DNA by God, Kendrick Lamar. You got me all messed up over here.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
it's a rap
Let me
rap
hear
song.
let me hear a little bit.
You don't know rap. Okay. You got me on the spot.
Perfect. That's the point.
I got royalty inside my DNA. Yeah. There you go. That's it.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. I love that.
Okay, good. Okay, so what's the best present you've ever received? Like gift, like when somebody gave you a birthday gift or maybe, Christmas gift or something.
A book.
Okay. What book was it?
Knowledge. The first book my therapist assigned to me was The Power of Not Now. The Power of Now
Yeah.
by Eckhart Tolle.
Wow.
And that book and she changed my life.
Wow.
I was
Okay.
ready. I was ready. And that's the thing. You have to be ready when opportunities come,
Yeah.
whether they're personal or professional. Um, what I think that the challenge for a lot of us is that we're not receivers. We've been taught how to give,
Right.
and some people know how to take,
Right.
but they get it misconstrued between taking and receiving. You got to be ready to receive what the universe or God has for you. And I was ready. And that book, I was ready for that book. I didn't understand a lot about it, but it changed my life.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
neat. Okay, so say this phrase 3 times fast.
Oh,
Oh, this is, you know why this is so perfect? Because what you just told me. Okay, so say this phrase 3 times fast. She sees cheese. Go.
see, she sees cheese. She's. You got me. Wait a minute. Let me do that again. She sees cheese. She sees cheese. She sees cheese. She hates cheese.
Right, right, right. Exactly. That's perfect.
Who
Pasha,
comes?
you were awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you. So, how can people connect with you? How can we purchase your book? What are your social media handles? How do we stay in touch?
So, ladies and gentlemen,
Hmm.
yeah, Pasha Cook. So, my mom gave me a great name that is not confused with a whole bunch of other people's names, and
Yeah.
so I'm easy to find. If you Google Pasha Cook, go to my website, Pashacook. That's Pasha, P as in Paul, Ashacook. That is my Twitter handle, Instagram, Facebook, website,
Perfect.
and email. So yeah, they can reach me at Pasha Cook. The book is on my site,
Nice.
pashacook.com/champsu. If you know an athlete, or you could just don't even have to be an athlete. It really has a lot of tangible tools in there, assessments to help you really channel your values, your strengths, and get a focus on where you want to go.
Perfect. All right, awesome. Well, Pasha, I want to extend my deepest gratitude to you for spending a bit of your time, very valuable time with me and the Grading Global Collective podcast listeners. You truly do exemplify the innate brilliance and moxie of Black women entrepreneurs globally, and I am honored to have gotten to know you just a little bit. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you for the invite, and I hope that I helped somebody out today. Thank you.
I'm sure you did. Thank you for listening to the Gradient Global Collective podcast. Follow us and talk to us on Instagram at Gradient Global.